And there it goes. Curving out to the right. That is an absolute killer. Even though that one set off straight, still down the right and in trouble. Right, so that drive we've just seen there, carving out to the right, it's going nowhere, it's not accurate. If you're watching this video, you're somebody who slices your driver and wants a really simple tip to turn your slice into a draw. Now, turning slice into a draw with a driver sounds like it can't be that simple, doesn't it? And some of you guys watching might have been spending years and years trying to change your swing to get rid of that dreaded slice where you lose golf balls, you hit it nowhere, and it just becomes really destructive and almost soul destroying. Well, what I'm going to talk about in this video though is how maybe something you're trying to do to get you hitting the ball further is actually making it very easy for that slice to happen. And how a little change in setup is going to transform your delivery of the club, get the path less out to in, maybe even slightly from the inside, and get that ball curving from right to left rather than left to right, and start hitting those drives that you've dreamed about for years. Right, so we can see that ball curving out to the right. So let's just look at the numbers on TrackMan and then help you understand how that driver is being delivered that is causing that absolute card wrecker of a drive, and then show you that little simple tip of how we're going to change the delivery of the club without you changing your golf swing and turn that horrible slice into a draw. Okay, so we know if the golf ball is shaping from left to right for a right-handed golfer, that the club face must be open to the path. Now I've left face angle on there as well for this particular shot, because face angle shows where the club is pointing relative to where we were aiming. So we can see I got the club face almost dead straight back at the target, but the path was moving out to in 7.5 degrees. Therefore, the club face was open 7.7 degrees to the path. So the ball set off pretty much where I aimed and then curved quite a bit out to the right. But some of you golfers watching this might actually think I'd kill for only that amount of shape. Right, so if you're watching there, probably nothing new. You know that the cause of that slice is that the path is out to in, the club face is right of that path, and that creates that shape. And where the club face is pointing with driver is a huge influence on where the ball sets off. So a lot of golfers will set the ball actually off left of target and finish way right. Some will set off straight like that one. And the really bad one is that one that sets off right and goes even further right. So let's just kind of go back to basics a little bit here. So there's an awful lot out there with driver about maximizing distance. And I've got plenty of videos on there about this. So we all know that to maximize our distance, we'd like to get the driver moving up through impact. And I've done a video last week on this about a great way of getting the club moving up is that we get the ball position further forward so that the low point of the golf swing is behind the golf ball. We kind of bump the hips that way and get that little bit of spine tilt. And it's a beautiful way of getting the club moving up and maximizing our distance. Now, the problem is you might be doing this in setup, but the negative is you're not actually maximizing your distance, and there's no real accuracy on the shots as well. So it's short and it's wide. So as much of an advantage as moving the ball forward can be for getting the club moving up, as a driver moves up through impact, it actually starts moving left as well. So we're starting to create more and more out to in path. Now, they're dependent what you do with the club face is where the ball sets off. But the more out to in the path, potentially, the more shape you get. So I had a guy in the other day was doing just this, telling me that he's got a big slice, but also telling me he wants to hit the ball further. Now, I'll be the first to say, I don't think you always have to sacrifice distance for accuracy. But there might be a time when you kind of go, if I'm hitting it 180 yards forward and 70 yards wide, well, to hit it another 30 yards on that line, it's just further in trouble, isn't it? And we don't really want that. So I'm going to hit a typical shot that I would see golfers. So ball position right opposite that front foot. They get themselves set and they think, right, I'm really going to hit up on this one. And we can see that one setting off right. So my path the same as the previous one. The club face was actually 2 degrees open to the target, so not awful to where it was pointing, but the face to path even more to the right, and that one even more destructive than that first one. So I'm kind of going to move away from trying to maximise distance for now and get you delivering the club better. So if we've said by moving the ball forward and getting the club moving up, actually what we're doing is catching the golf ball later in the arc of the swing. So what we're going to say is we're going to move the ball position a little bit further back, even maybe to begin with towards the centre. Now, we're going to catch the ball much, much earlier in the arc. So if we look face on here, if I was in the middle of my stance, you see the club's moving in a very different direction, therefore path at impact. It still then comes down to obviously controlling where the club face points. But if we can move the golf ball into a better part of our golf swing, straight away the face to path relationship should be different. So as the first challenge, if you are somebody who slices the golf ball, but actually sets the ball off fairly straight, the first thing we're going to get you to do is get the ball right in the middle of your stance. So almost kind of where you would have 7-iron, 8-iron. It'll feel very, very unusual. I'm not even bothered about you putting loads of spine tilt, just whatever is in there from your right hand being lower than your left. And then we're just going to make a swing, try and get the club face still towards the target, and let's just see the difference this makes to the shape. Okay, so we've gone from a big slice to a little bit of a hooky one, to be fair. Now we can see there the club face was actually 2 degrees left of where I was aiming, but the path is now 1.4 degrees to the right, so that club face is much more closed. So that was huge, wasn't it? My swing path, so the direction the club was moving when it hit the ball, moved by 9 degrees from out to in, actually from the inside. And for a lot of golfers, this is almost like a revelation. They kind of feel that, well, hang on, I'm not trying to kind of really drop the club on the inside and make a movement I'm not that comfortable with. But all of a sudden there, the club's very different on the golf ball at impact. And I think especially if you're a golfer who actually with your irons hit the ball fairly straight or even draws it with your irons, but struggles with a slice with driver, ball position can be a huge issue at setup. So we saw there, when the ball was bang in the middle, probably a little bit hooky. So let's then say, right, let's not go quite in the middle. Let's maybe go, rather than opposite my zip, let's maybe go more opposite my Adidas logo. So it's definitely further back than normal, but further forward than that. So now the ball is a little bit later in the arc, so we should see maybe a slightly straighter path. And again, I want to try and get that club face pointing fairly straight. Now it's a little bit out the heel, so it's not going to shape a huge amount. We can see my club path was actually a little bit out to in there. I don't mind that, it's very marginal. The heel strike has just stopped that turning over. But if you're somebody who slices the ball and all of a sudden that becomes your bad drive because of a bad strike, wow, you are going to play from some very, very different places on the golf course. So we look at that and we say, right, this is a start, isn't it? But I definitely like to see that one. If I'm somebody who's been hitting that carve out to the right, I definitely like seeing that one shape a little bit more. Now, I'm aiming straight just so that the face angle looks straight. If you start drawing it, you are going to aim a little bit further right. So I'm going to go just a little bit more central again with that ball position and then put my swing on it. And there we go. Even though my path was a little bit out to in, I want you to, if you're watching this video, I want you to comment below now and tell me, how much would you take that? If you're a slicer of the golf ball, out of 10, how would you mark that drive if you could hit that? So let's go one more. Ball a bit more central. Try and get that club face pointing at the target. Again, a little bit heely, so not drawing, but that's down to the strike. But that path, so much better. Club face a little bit left. So that one didn't draw, but we can see if I hit that out the middle of the club face and I get that path and face relationship better, we're going to turn my slice with my driver into a draw, and you're going to start playing a whole different game. Right then, guys, so we could see there, very often, because we're very aware now about trying to hit up on the golf ball, trying to launch the ball high, keep the spin off the ball, to really hit those bombs, like Phil Mickelson says. For a lot of golfers, it really creates a massive issue on the club delivery. The club starts working too much out to in. They start compensating with the club face. Big slices are there. And like I said at the start of the video, it's soul destroying hitting that slice. And I hate watching golfers do it when they almost know it's going to happen. They're trying like mad to swing from the inside, but the ball position just means the ball's in the wrong part of the arc and it just can't happen. So move that ball position more central, hit some shots. If it's too exaggerated, then you can start nudging the ball forward. But if by putting the ball in a different part of your golf swing, you're changing the path of the club, then we start shaping the ball differently, and hopefully this club goes from being a big slice, hopefully to the draw, if not a draw, maybe straight, or maybe just a controllable fade. But all of a sudden you start getting the ball in play, a decent distance, and giving you a real platform to enjoy your game and score better. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you've enjoyed today's video and you don't currently subscribe to my channel, please click the button below. Remember to ring the notification bell, then you'll find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.